Hi y'all, Sony just got done with their PlayStation Showcase and they announced some pretty sweet games, and I just want to go over them real fast, just kind of give you up to date on the showcase if you missed it yourself, or if you really just want to narrow in and focus on what the RPGs that were announced were. That's really what I want to focus on, that's what interests me, that's what I want to go over here. There were 9 of them, some 9 pretty sweet games out of like 30 plus games that were announced. This thing went on forever. This isn't like a Nintendo showcase where it's 20 minutes, you're in, out, you're done. This was well over an hour long, and it kind of got draggy at points. But first up was Phantom Blade Zero. And a lot of these games, they didn't give release dates on. They didn't even give like quarters or even years on when they're going to release. They just had the trailer and that was it, which is odd, but whatever. At first, I thought that this was going to be like Ghost of Tsushima 2. And it looks really cool, but it also looks like it's not really my thing because it's a Souls-like, yeah, I know, taking place in kind of ancient samurai Japan where there's ghosts and ghouls and demons around and all that kind of stuff. I've got to say, a lot of these Souls games, they do look neat. They do look cool. They do look up my alley. But I also know that the difficulty is just going to be off the chain. And whenever something is way too hard for me, I just tune out and I just can't. And I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I just died for the billionth time, I better really get better and grind. No, I'm one of those people who's like, oh, I died for the billionth time. Screw this, I'm turning it off. Like, that's the kind of player that I am. So I wish that these Souls games would introduce an easy mode of some sort, or at least even just like a normal mode, and they would really open up their audience. The next game that was announced is called Sword of the Sea, and if this looks familiar, that's because this is by the developers of Journey, and it's really cool looking. It's like you kind of surf on this sea of sands, and there's like whales and fish and dolphins going around, so it's like the desert meets the ocean. It's this kind of juxtaposition of 2 different worlds kind of coming together. It looks pretty cool. So if you were a fan of Journey and you want more of that, be on the lookout for Sword of the Sea. Next up was Cat Quest, Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, I know, it's cute. This is coming to the PS4 and the PS5. One of the few games that was actually announced for the PS4 in this showcase. They said that the PlayStation 5 is like in its 3rd year, so it's in the middle of the life cycle, but to me, since I just got one, it still feels like it's like the 1st year. And I think it feels that way for a lot of people too, because they could only actually get their hands on it this year, and they really only started releasing exclusively for it like last year. So that kind of like took me by surprise whenever they mentioned that right there. But this is a side-scrolling action RPG set in that Cat Quest world. It looks super cute, kind of has like an overworld aesthetic as well. I think that I will like this one. Up next is Tower of Ashara, which is coming out sometime next year. They didn't give a firm release date, they just said 2024. But it looks really cool. It's like you have to restore the world of nature, you have to kind of plant and build and fight monsters to restore nature to what it was, and you do this by like soaring around, flying around, and fighting off monsters and building up villages and planting your little farm and all that. It looked really freaking cool. Then the game that I'm sure we're all waiting for, Final Fantasy 16. I've got to say, I got chills whenever this came out. I know a lot of people probably think that I have been really consuming a lot of Final Fantasy 16 media, but I haven't. I have been trying my hardest, as hard as I can, as hard as a YouTuber can. I have been trying my hardest to go into it blind, to only really watch the official trailers. I didn't watch anybody's video that just came out on Monday whenever a whole bunch of people like got their hands on it and they were like playing the demo and all that. I didn't watch any of their videos. I didn't, because I don't want to know. I want to make my own impressions. I want to go into it blind. I don't want to go into it with any sort of preconceived notions about what I want it to be or what it is going to be. I really want to go into it and make my own fair decision on it. And whenever I saw this trailer and I heard that Final Fantasy music playing, chills ran down my spine. and I was like, oh my god, I'm returning to a world of Final Fantasy, and it just looked really cool. Apparently, the world is dying, of course, because it's Final Fantasy, and the Mother Crystals, the crystals are back! Hey! The Mother Crystals are the reason why the world is dying. It showed off a whole lot of the battle system, the icon battles, the characters, all that kind of stuff, and I am into this. Next up is a game that I've been looking forward to for years. It's been delayed for like 6 years now. It's kind of ridiculous. But we finally have a release date on Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. It's coming out this winter. This is kind of like Xenoblade meets like an anime aesthetic. It looks very Talesy, it looks very Star Ocean-y. It's an action RPG, and it just looks fan-fricking-tastic. If there was one game that I would say that I'm looking forward to even more than Final Fantasy 16, it is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. We don't know a lot about this game at all. All we know is that it looks fantastic. It looks just killer. It looks killer. And I want to get my hands on this one this winter. This is like my Christmas gift to myself. Then there was another game that I really didn't know what to make of it. It's called Litros, and it's coming out in 2024, so next year. It's very Metroidvania looking, but it's also really like psychedelic looking. It looks like it just came out of like Mellow Mushroom or Spencer's or something. It looks pretty cool, pretty neat. I know that I'm a fan of Metroidvanias. I grew up with Castlevania, with classic Metroid. That's like my bread and butter. I know that genre. I am all about it. I enjoy it. I like it. And this looks cool. This looks right up my alley. Then for number 9, we have Tower of Fantasy. Again, no release date on this, and it looks very MMO inspired. It also looks really Genshin Impact inspired. Can you really blame these developers for wanting to kind of create their own Genshin Impact clone, though? It sold, it downloaded, so many people downloaded that game. Millions of people downloaded that game, and millions of people have played it, and it is top-notch. It is top quality. For a free-to-play game, that is the model that these games should be following. So this didn't say that it's free to play, anything like that. This looks like this is a full-fledged release that you're going to have to purchase, which is fine because then, you get rid of the gacha, you get rid of the microtransactions and all that kind of stuff. But again, you're flying around in kind of a futuristic, really super colorful world. You're going up into the skies, you're going down into the ocean. It looks great. And then for our 10th and final game that I want to talk about, Dragon's Dogma 2. Woohoo! This looks cool. I really want to try this out because I'm going to let y'all know something. I never actually played the first game. Yeah, I know. I was looking at it and I was kind of starved for JRPGs at the time, but I really just kind of went back retro in the PlayStation 3 era because PlayStation 3 wasn't really doing it for me. And also there was this online component where you kind of had to ask people for help and stuff and talk to people online, and I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm playing a video game. I want to be by myself in my dark little room and just playing my game. That's all I want to do. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to go online. I don't want to have any social interaction whatsoever. So I skipped it. And now I'm like, maybe I really did myself a disservice because everybody talks about Dragon's Dogma and how great it is. So here's the sequel. Why not? Why not? I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a try. Why not? So I've got to say that there were some ups and some downs in this show. There was a time when I was like, wow, this is really kind of underwhelming me. And then Final Fantasy 16 hit, and Grand Blue Fantasy hit, and Dragon's Dogma hit, and Tower of Fantasy hit. And I'm like, whoa, I take that back. This is kind of cool, So I personally enjoyed this showcase. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Let me know what y'all thought about these games as well. And as always, have a good day.